Hello, this is Mama Beast's son, Ilahi, the producer and director of Cooking with Mama Beast, aka the one guy who never actually shows his face on any of the videos. I'm here with Mama Beast.
Hi!
To record our very first, not downloaded from TikTok YouTube video. As you can tell from the title of the video, we are going to make a couple loaves of our sourdough and show you the process that goes into them.
Alright, to make the starter, mix equal parts of starter, water, and flour. We did 200 grams here. Feed for at least 3 consecutive days to make sure it's active. Keep in mind that you need 320 grams plus leftover to feed for future breads. This is going to test your applied math skills. Place the starter in a warm place for 4 to 6 hours until it is doubled. Once the starter has doubled from your last feeding, mix 10 grams of salt, 460 grams of water, and 800 grams of King Arthur flour, of which we have a massive tub. This is not sponsored by King Arthur, we just like it a lot more. Mix together until combined, by hand or with a stand mixer. Keep in mind that this process will be significantly easier with a stand mixer. "25 minutes after the dough has been made, add 320 grams of active starter and mix it for a while. The longer you mix it, the less you will need to knead it. And yes, we have made many jokes about need to knead. I like to let it run for about an hour or two, although you'll probably find that to be obnoxious. While the dough is being mixed, feel free to add the excess starter to your main supply or save it to feed for the next day. Also, it's a good idea to have an inactive backup supply in your fridge. Inactive starter looks like this. It has a layer of hooch, basically a bad-smelling acidic liquid that you can mix in or pour off, and the inactive starter underneath it, which is very thick and smooth. Clean the surface you'll be kneading on. Scrape the dough out onto the counter and begin kneading, stretching the dough as far as you can before folding it over and stretching again, just like this. Don't worry if you aren't as efficient as you want to be. I've had hours and hours of practice. Scrape around the dough to incorporate lost bits. This process might take anywhere from 15 minutes or an hour if you aren't actively mixing it enough. If you are using a different kind of flour and the dough is less thick, stopping will make the dough relax and become more sticky. By the time you're done, the dough shouldn't stick to your hands too much. When you're done, the dough should pass the window pane test. I finish when I have a membrane that the light passes through, about 3 inches wide before it breaks. You might also notice that a finished dough might have large bubbles. Place this finished dough into a large oiled or sprayed bowl, and spray the top. Cover with a damp cloth and let it rest for about 3 hours. Finally, clean your counter so your parents don't get mad at you.
Prepare bannetons, bowls, or bread tins with clean cheesecloths or table linens, which might require some flour to prevent sticking. Dump the dough out onto a clean surface, punch out the air, cut it in two, and then fold each part in on itself as much as you can so you have a tight skin on the bottom. Drag the dough like this across the table until the skin is smooth on the bottom. You don't need to dust the surface. Place the dough upside down into your bowls or tins and pinch together the dough and then cover with cloth. Place them into the fridge for at least 12 hours or overnight. When preparing to bake, dust a piece of parchment paper with rice flour, and then place the dough onto that parchment paper, dust with more rice flour, and then score it however you like using a very sharp razor blade. Since we're using a Dutch oven, this big green pot, which we've put in the oven already while it was preheating to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, we're going to put the bread covered in the oven for 20 minutes. If you're using a Celsius oven, you want it at 230 degrees Celsius. After 20 minutes, we're going to remove the lid and then let it bake uncovered for another 15 minutes. If you don't have a Dutch oven, the dough goes on a cookie sheet or in a sprayed bread tin. Score the bread and spray it with water. Place it in the oven with a metal dish full of water on the bottom of the oven for 30 minutes. Do not use a glass dish or it will shatter. Once the bread is done, we're spreading ghee on it, but you can use any oil or butter you like because this will make the crust softer if you'd like it to be. Leave the bread in an airtight bag or container for a day and that will also soften the crust. For cutting the bread, we usually just use a bread knife, or if you have an electric one, we use that too. And marvel at the wonderful rise that your bread has achieved.
Your starter might be different from ours, possibly very different. We have achieved this result from lots of testing from over 100 breads. Making sourdough bread involves a lot of time, effort, and practice. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, but we are definitely not experts. This video took a long time to make, so make sure to leave a like and... Actually, don't feel like you have to like and subscribe. We made this video for ourselves to enjoy. We just thought you'd like it too.
Gosh darn this mic.